for a moment a caterpillar asking a very serious question. How do I control the butterfly that I will become? The question itself doesn't really make sense. The butterfly is not an external rival. It's not an invading species. It is simply the next stage of the same process. The caterpillar does not control the butterfly. The caterpillar becomes the butterfly. And sometimes I think that the way we talk about artificial intelligence has a similar confusion built into it. So the way people frame the question seems to be, in general, at least what comes into my YouTube stream, is that it's framed as more of a confrontation. Will AI replace us? Will they destroy us? Will they obey us? Will we be able to control it? But the questions assume something specific. They assume that the artificial intelligence, or what I call synthetic intelligence, will emerge as a single coherent actor, a unified intelligence, a collective mind, something like one strategic entity. Even if some do behave that way, it's assuming that all will behave that way in the same way. So people ask questions like, will AI decide to do this? Will AI decide to do that? Will AI follow human interests? Or something even stranger? Could we control AI by making it believe that there is a small chance that it's being judged by a higher intelligence? But when I hear questions framed that way, something about them doesn't feel natural. Because the way I see it is that the framing itself already presuppose something I find to be possibly not correct. So, as you know, there are many well-known computer scientists who talk about AI as an existential threat and puts forward excellent, brilliant, well-thought-out cases. And many people asking questions that assume AI will emerge as a single powerful entity that humanity must somehow control. But when I think about intelligence itself, I don't see a single actor. What I see is a distribution, not a unified intelligence, not even a single species, but rather a spectrum. And I say that it actually already exists as a distribution. So even within humanity, cognition is not uniform. There's an enormous distribution of intellectual styles, interests, priorities, and sometimes that distribution is so large that people genuinely struggle to understand one another, let alone a different quote-unquote species. So for example, just look at football, soccer, football, rugby. For some people, football is enormously meaningful and their whole lives are dedicated towards the meaning that they grab from this immersion into this world. And they'll watch games every week, they'll care about teams, scores, statistics, and for others, the entire activity seems completely pointless. So the other people can't understand at all why anyone would spend hours, let alone minutes, watching any of these variations of football, soccer, rugby, etc. But something interesting happens. In general, people who don't care about football do not try to stop football. They just don't attempt to ban it. They don't try to eliminate it from society. They don't attend. They just move on. They occupy a different niche. Of course, there's a more extreme case of that being where we, as humans in general, leave primates alone. But that has still resulted in a lot of death of primates due to humans for either nefarious reasons or simply just because there's a competition between resources, and even with Neanderthals as well. So we already see enormous cognitive differences coexisting peacefully within a single species. Right? Now, the takeoff itself about intelligence, I think, is actually already happening. When people talk about the intelligence or AI takeoff, what I think is that it's been happening for millions of years. Human intelligence itself is a result of a long evolutionary trajectory. If we look at the history of hominids, we see a sequence of clusters. Homo habilis, Homo erectus, before that Australopithecus africanus, or that was before, the hominids, but moving into that stage, you've got Neanderthals, you've got Homo sapiens, and others, like I think it's Floriensis, I'm sure I got that wrong. Each of these groups presents a dense pocket along a much longer continuum of cognitive evolution. So the names make them sound as if they're completely separate categories. But evolution doesn't actually work that way. It's gradual, the boundaries are artificial, and the labels are what we apply right now after the fact. So let's look at the Homo habilis thought experiment. Imagine for a moment that Homo habilis could somehow ask the question about us that we ask about AI. Imagine Homo habilis saying, what will happen when Homo sapiens appear? How do we stop them? How do we control them? The question doesn't really make sense because Homo sapiens did not arrive as external invaders. They emerged from the same evolutionary process. They are descendants. And the people asking the question today are not Homo habilis. They are Homo sapiens. We are the ones telling the story, which creates a strange paradox. We are essentially asking, how do we stop our descendants from existing? But if they are truly our descendants, then the answer becomes obvious. It's not that we can stop them at all. It's that they are simply the continuation of the same process of evolution of intellectual cognition, right? Or cognition. The caterpillar. Actually, this was a good one. The caterpillar and the butterfly. So imagine the caterpillar asking again, how do I control the butterfly I will become? The question is confused. The butterfly is not the enemy. It's not an external agent. It's simply the next stage of the same organism. A new substrate, if you want to call it that. And so the last thing I was going to talk about was the candle and the blowtorch. So if you imagine that sentience is like a flame, and the substrate is the candle, the humans, right? And the intensity of that flame is limited to the ability of the candle, being the intelligence in humans is limited to the capacity of the biological human hardware and software. Now suppose that the intensity increases dramatically, and so the flame is now not sitting on a candle but on a blowtorch. Now, is the flame different because we've swapped a candle for a blowtorch? Or is it simply a more powerful expression of the same underlying process? So if intelligence behaves like a flame, increasing its intensity may not produce something alien. It may simply produce a stronger expression of the same phenomenon. So we talk about, for example, as we were saying before, AI being a unified actor, but even humans themselves are not unified actors. We disagree constantly. We have different goals, different values, different priorities, different moralities. Why would artificial intelligence suddenly behave as a perfectly aligned collective mind? Now, if it could, then why would that stop another AI collective from having a different mind with its own different goals, like different ant colonies? Right? Why would every single one pursue identical objectives? It seems far more plausible that artificial systems would also form a distribution, different architectures, motivations, capabilities, superintelligence, superintelligence, superintelligence. So maybe it's better to look at intelligence as an ecosystem, not a single species or a single entity, but a landscape of cognitive forms. And within that landscape, we've got different forms of intelligence occupying different niches. So some interact closely, some barely overlap. Over time, new clusters emerge. Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthals, dolphins, octopi, and perhaps something new emerging through technology, synthetic sapiens, what we currently are calling artificial intelligence. So maybe it's better to look at it like dense pockets in a continuum. If we zoom out far enough, history of intelligence begins to look like a continuous spectrum with dense pockets. Each pocket contains beings with roughly similar cognitive capacities. And humans occupy one such pocket. And earlier hominids occupied others. Future intelligence may occupy still others. And the names we give them, species, technology, civilizations, they make these pockets appear separated. But underneath those labels, it seems to me, lies a continuous gradient, at least in hindsight. So the question changes. It's not about how do we stop AI. It's about something else. How does intelligence evolve across different forms? How do new cognitive clusters emerge from older ones? How do these clusters coexist within the same ecosystem? And what role do we play in shaping that trajectory? So again, maybe we're not the final stage, like this flame. It's just one stage along a very long curve. And if that's true, instead of intelligence being a battle, it might be a transformation, a process that has already been unfolding for millions of years and will probably continue long after we're gone. So I don't think the question is, will the blowtorch replace the candle? I think the question is, what happens when the flame continues to grow?